In the United States, most children can take going to school for granted, but that expectation might be different for children of undocumented immigrants, as shown by the 1982 case of Plyler versus Doe. In 1975, the Texas legislature enacted laws granting local school districts the authority to deny enrollment to undocumented, non-citizen children. The legislature also withheld state funding from school districts serving children without authorization to live in the United States. This withholding of funding meant that undocumented children had to pay tuition to attend public schools, while other children attended for free. In 1982, 4 undocumented immigrant families filed a class action suit against a Texas school district. The district court held that the state law violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The Fifth Circuit affirmed, and the United States Supreme Court granted cert. The question before the court was whether the Texas law denying undocumented immigrant children free public education was an unconstitutional denial of equal protection under the 14th Amendment. Justice Brennan, writing for the 5-justice majority, held that distinguishing between documented and undocumented children in the provision of free public education violated the Equal Protection Clause. At the outset, Justice Brennan acknowledged the universal character of the 14th Amendment. Brennan noted that its protections extend to all people, including undocumented immigrants within a state's jurisdiction. In determining the appropriate standard of review, Justice Brennan noted that immigration status is a non-suspect classification. That meant that the law wasn't subject to strict scrutiny. At the same time, Justice Brennan observed that undocumented immigrant children are members of a special underclass in the country. They had no control over their parents' unauthorized entry into the United States, nor could they change their own immigration status. In addition, although education isn't a fundamental right, Justice Brennan emphasized that basic education forms the foundation of productive citizenship. Its denial to a discrete class of children would prevent them from contributing to the nation's progress. Because of the important character of education and the blamelessness of undocumented children over their immigration status, Justice Brennan determined that the standard of review would be more demanding than rational basis. Without expressly stating it, Justice Brennan applied intermediate scrutiny. This analysis requires a challenged classification to be substantially related to an important governmental interest. The state argued that denying free educational services to immigrant children furthered the important governmental interest in preserving limited fiscal resources. Justice Brennan rejected that argument, noting that immigrant children, in terms of educational cost and need, placed no special burden on the state's ability to provide quality education. Justice Brennan thus determined that denying undocumented children the same free education that was provided to the state's other children failed constitutional scrutiny. The court struck down the Texas law as unconstitutional, affirming the judgment of the Court of Appeals. Justice Marshall wrote a concurring opinion. He emphasized his belief that education is a fundamental right protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Justice Blackmun also concurred, comparing education to the right to vote. He argued that both issues strike at the heart of equal protection principles, and the state should need more than just a rational basis to justify their denial. In Justice Powell's concurrence, he agreed with the heightened scrutiny used by the majority. He also noted that denying basic education to a wide class of people would likely have negative social costs. Chief Justice Burger dissented. He admonished the majority for overstepping its bounds to handle policy problems related to undocumented immigrants. The Chief Justice argued that because undocumented immigrant children are a non-suspect class, the rational basis standard applied. By that standard, Burger would have upheld the law. He reasoned that the state had a legitimate interest in reserving its limited fiscal resources for citizens. Further, the law was rationally related to that cost-saving purpose. In Plyler versus Doe, the court applied an enhanced form of constitutional scrutiny to a supposedly non-suspect classification. In doing so, the decision provided the constitutional basis for undocumented children to receive public education on the same basis as other children.